I want to show you one piece of sort of the vision of how we envision bringing people together, and that is the sort of model agenda that we set up, and that's going to be down. Okay, Chung In is our communications director and web person, so it's in here. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So, and then it's on the left or something? Yeah, okay. Oh, so here it is, teach-in model. So what we did was we said, how can you reach out beyond the usual suspects and put together a day's worth of events that engage the whole campus? Because that's what a teach-in is, right? And that's what we felt was called for. And so what we did was we set up a model curriculum that basically had room for, I believe that there's 140 sessions in here with suggested sessions for room for English professors and art teachers and historians and geologists, and that if we could organize a day thematically around, for example, obstacles to progress, you could have a session for 10 minutes where you asked a psychology professor to talk about denial, or a communication professor to talk about the media, or engineering or economists to talk about technological obstacles, or social justice and climate change. So you get a public health professor and anthropology professor, political science professor talking about those issues, or Apocalypse Now. You could have a science professor of literature talking about science fiction perspectives, a historian talking about the whole collapse hypothesis, life without polar bears. That's one that we actually sponsored that at Lewis and Clark, where you have an art professor who really doesn't need to talk about global warming at all, but can really talk about why these bears are such powerful, iconic symbols and images. Religious studies professor talking not about necessarily polar bears, about what the meaning of mass extinction is for all of us. And then, a ecologist or biologist who hopefully can give us a little bit of optimistic view about if we do the right thing, maybe there'll be some habitat left for these creatures. So this was one way that we tried to sort of break down the disciplinary barriers, explicitly create interdisciplinary sessions, invite faculty members to stay in their comfort zone, because they didn't have to be climate experts. They just had to talk for 10 minutes about something that was, very familiar to them in their discipline, and then open it up for discussion. We had a lot of other models that people explored, including asking professors to talk about global warming in their classrooms that day, keynote speakers. We had mock debates and theater performances, poster shows, art shows, parades. But the academic heart of this was to really engage faculty and staff in conversation, and then following from our leadership roles, right? Because a lot of people said, well, shouldn't the students be doing this? And I said, no, absolutely not. I mean, the faculty's in charge of curriculum. And it's our job to sort of, set that tone and let the students know what's important. It was a successful experiment, I think, at least at the national level in terms of engagement. And what we want to do now is hear from some of the people who actually put this together. All we did was provide the framework, and then have some discussion about how did it work, can you do it again, does it have lasting effects, those sorts of things. So I'd first like to bring Pushpa Ramakrishna up. She is a professor of biology at the Chandler Gilbert Community College in Arizona, and she's also currently the director of sustainability programs for the 10 community colleges in the Maricopa system. So I think we have two professors here in charge of thousands and thousands and thousands of students directly or indirectly. So Pushpa, turn it over to you.
I would like to begin with some introduction of my college system and where we come from, so you'll get an idea of the extent of our programs. I belong to Chandler Gilbert Community College. It's a relatively small community college in a big system because we have about 13 to 14,000 students in my particular college, but our system, Maricopa Community College, has about 250,000 students, and I'm not kidding. I mean, we are big. Considered the biggest, sometimes we have some competition with Los Angeles Community College District, but generally we are way ahead of the curve. 10 college system, revolving student population, very different than a Bard college where you have a set number of students all the time because they come in, they take a few classes, leave, come back in. So it's hard to kind of have student involvement many a time. So we try to think of innovative ways to get the students interested to stay in campus when they are not taking classes, etc., because they have full-time work. You know, they're different clientele of students that we have at our campuses. We, as you can see over there, 10,285 academic and occupational courses, 1,400 residential faculty, 4,300 adjunct faculty. I mean, it's just humongous. So what we do is we have a Center for Teaching and Learning. And I was on loan from my campus to start the sustainability initiative at our 10 colleges. So kind of divided it up into a district-wide, a grassroots level, and an executive level, and kind of worked at the different levels to get the program going in our campuses. District-wide, you know how when you have a bunch of faculty together, they're excited about the curriculum, they want to start, you know, new programs, etc. Very easy to get the involved people in. But the question, as Eben was saying, how do you get the majority of the people involved in your initiative? How do you excite them to be involved and take a, you know, almost like a leadership role to bring programs at their particular campuses? So we've had what we call as MCLI Dialogue Days. We've invited speakers. Eben came last year. And so to energize our faculty, we've had this Focus the Nation initiative became really big on our campus. And this year we did the National Teach-In. We've got academic certificates on sustainability. As a grassroots level, how do you incorporate it into the curriculum, best practices, challenges that we all face, green initiatives, recycling programs, and college-wide themes. These are all grassroots level activities that's going on. At the executive level, which was kind of hard in the beginning, but we just finished a sustainability resolution, got it passed through our board, and you know, we are really, you know, because there is buy-in now from the executive level for the Maricopa district as such, it's been much easier to work on these projects in the recent days. Of course, all our buildings going to be built is going to be LEED certified or compliant, and most of our presidents have signed the President's Climate Commitment, and our chancellor just did, so we are pretty happy about it.